Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and we're going to create a really cool Valentine today. It's fashioned after the Christmas card that I made for this year's Christmas. And you can see I've used a large, I think it's an A9 envelope that's even a little bigger than it needs to be. And when you pull this up and pull this out, it's an easy one to do, but on display I think it looks really fun. And we're going to see all the parts of how to create it. And then at the end, I'll show you how, if you want to do a different theme like the one I did for Christmas, how easily you can change the theme. So in order to begin, we want to look at this back structure and this accordion pleat. So I start with the back, and it needs to be able to fit. Once it's going to be folded in about 1 inch in, but it needs to be able to fit in your envelope. And as I said, so it's going to fit the envelope about to here. The size of this cardstock is 5.5 by 8.5, and then I came in somewhere between like 3/4 or 1 inch. It doesn't have to be exact. And I put a crease line, and I'm going to fold there. And then what I did in order to get this long strip is I took paper that was 24 inches long and 4 inches wide, and I came 1 inch down from the top, and I marked 1 inch, and then I came this time from the bottom up 1 inch and marked it. And then I just marked a little with a little spot on both ends. I put it in my paper trimmer, and I sliced from this pencil line up to this pencil line, and it generates 2. So you're going to have the parts that you need to make 2 of these. This way you have 1 inch by 3 inches cut on a slant and 24 inches long. And if you don't have paper that's 24 inches, you can use scrapbook paper that you just overlap, because it's going to be folded multiple times. Once you have these done, then you need to fold it, and you need to fold it so that it will fit this 5.5 inch width. So you would bring this and fold, make your score line and fold this, and just keep folding back and forth. I've already folded one, until you end up with all your accordion pleats like so. So it's just accordion folded, and this is going to match the width of this background piece. Now eventually I'm going to put adhesive on this tab, and I'm going to use it to attach this to, and it's going to give me the format for the card so that when this pulls out, it just becomes the display. But I think it's easier to actually decorate this before I attach this section. So I'm going to wait and attach that at the end, but that is where it's going to go. And I'm going to start with the 3 larger hearts. So I'm going to take, and I want these all attached along this top slanted edge. And so I'll put adhesive just on the bottom section of the heart, and I want to make sure that it clears. So I'm going to place this about right here. Sometimes with the hearts I wanted to layer different colors. You're going to use more adhesive than I have, but sometimes you want a little more design in the hearts. And I don't want to go off the edge, because if I set this back up here, remember this has to fit here. So I don't want either of these heart designs to go too far off the outside edge. So I'm going to lay this here, and then I'm going to overlap, just because I don't like things looking too symmetrical. So I'm going to take another heart, place it. Position, you could do more hearts if you want, but that gives you that section. And then I'm going to fold it up. Now you can see why it's helpful to not have that in the way. And now I'm going to put the next row, which in my case is X's and O's. So because I've got pink here, I want the pink to go on this end. And I'm going to put, and I'm just using solid X's and O's. Once again, I want to make sure I don't go outside my edges. This O, if I go back and look at the finished one, you can see that I actually decorated it by writing a Valentine message. I think it says love you, or just love. It could say Happy Valentine's Day. I won't stop to do it. If you have pattern paper, then that's great. You can use that as well. And then I'll put the red one, and any of these X's and O's can be more embellished if you want to make more to the design. You can see how you're going to see through. And then I'm going to fold it. And once again, now I'm going to do the next row, which in my case, the next row was a series of more hearts. And by folding it up, I can see, okay, I probably want the pink one on this end. And I may not even be doing it exactly the same as the one I have, but the beauty of making it yourself is you get to decide just how you want to place everything. So, and this may be different than the last one, and that's okay too. So I'll place these, making sure I don't go outside the edges of where the card's going to be folded. And then these last two, I would probably put more detail rather than just using solid hearts. But depending on how much time you have, you may not have time to do all that much extra detail. So totally up to you. You can see how I've added that row, and then I'm going to close this, and now I'll add, you can't have Valentine without the word love. So I'm going to take my letters to spell out love. And you know, it's the most effective if everything stands up above. So I'm only fastening the bottom of the hearts and the bottom of each of the letters so that when you open it up, they all look like they're sort of floating up in the air, which I think is cool. Place the final letter. Think about upside down. Place my adhesive in the right place. And I've got the E that's going to go here. And then the final row, I just added a couple of little hearts right at the end. I like to have this edge not show. So the first thing I'll do, I'm going to put a little adhesive here, and that way I'll make sure that I don't put adhesive on the heart that's going to stick to this next layer. So I want this to be flush with the bottom, and I want it to overlap. So I'm going to put it right about, I think I'm going to move it over a little, right about there. I have a little extra adhesive that I'm going to rub off, and then I'll add this other pink heart in this vicinity. So you've got all your decorated accordion strip. You can see how easy this would be to change the theme. Now I'm going to put adhesive on this little lip. You probably want, once again, more adhesive than me. And then I'm going to attach this to the back of this card. So I'll hold this. And usually what I do is just, because I did these for Christmas and I had to make several of them, I really got down to a assembly line fashion. So you just fold it up, push, so your adhesive can stick. And you can see how this gives you the card format. And if I go back and I look at my final version, the only thing I really haven't added at this point is just the black strip where I'm going to use a white pen to write more of a personal message. I've used little pieces of hearts, quite honestly, that were just sitting around on the table from another project, and I thought, oh, those will look good. So I went ahead and stuck those down. And if you want to, you can even add more design to this side. If I show you my Christmas card, you'll see what I mean. All this now is going to just fold up and going to sit inside the envelope. But here was my Christmas card. You can see I used this whole back edge for a nice long message. And it was set up so when they pulled it out of the envelope, this showed. These were actually folded in. And then you pull it down. Here was a message. And then here was my card. And in order for it to not stick out of the envelope, these two little dachshunds actually folded in. We had a dachshund, was my favorite dog growing up. She was just adorable. So this was kind of in honor of her. So this is the same card concept, the same format, but just for a different theme. And it's easy for you to do it for any theme. You know, if you haven't used it before, I think you're going to be surprised. It's easy to make and it's even better to display.